First of all, like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the algorithm. Mag should have hired Mike Miller to draw Dr. Mirage. Nobody draws women better than Blacklist Universe. I remember listening to your boy review a comic, and I checked it out myself, and I discovered that, at least in my opinion, they weren't that bad. What I think happened is that when you constantly read Cancer by the same idiots, you just see their name on a book, and you go into the book with preconceived biases against the writer. And to be fair, most of the time your biases are accurate. So what I try to do when reading the really bad writers, like Gail Simone, Mags Visaggio, or Scenic Race, is I try to notice something positive about the story. For example, Gail Simone may be a fat old broad, but she can be funny and dirty when she stops grinding the man-hating axe. Mags has a pretty broad background in science fiction and speculative fiction, so they actually have a lot of potential. But Mag's main problem is that she can't keep her chronic, brutal depression out of her writing. Get some therapy, Mags. Now you have some Hollywood money coming in, you can afford it. It would massively help your writing. It would be a funny world if SJW writers just stopped writing SJW tropes. But while Mags is an SJW, she doesn't write SJW stuff, and everything she does has potential. It's just so damn depressing. Get off the bridge, Mags. So I decided to take a look at Mirage #1 and try to come at it with a fresh perspective. The first thing you notice is that it's a #1. Mags has a lot of #1s. In fact, the entire industry does. In case you're new to comics, there are a few reasons for so many #1s. The first is because historically #1s have always held a higher value in the collector's market. That used to be more relevant a few decades ago when there was a bigger market. Today there still is a market, but it's a shadow of what it once was. Why, you ask? Because of art like this. That leads me to my second point. There are so many #1s because the books run for less than a dozen issues and they get canceled for low sales. Mag's books are so bad they usually get canceled before issue 6. So what's the problem? Why aren't these books selling better? Well, you obviously haven't been reading modern comics. They are written by socialists who are insanely racist and sexist, and that comes out in their books. Why would men read books from writers who seem to forget that? Why would Euro-Americans read racist propaganda where every single time the bad guy is a blonde or redhead? Well, as much as this may shock you to hear, they don't buy them. That's why there are so many #1 issues and not many #100s, which makes me wonder, how many books has Mag's been on that have actually made it to 100? How many books has Mag's been on that have made it to a dozen? I'm going to have to look that up. I'm not recalling any books that she's been on that have even gone to a dozen. And yet she still gets hired. Odd. It's almost as if the industry doesn't hire on merit, but that would just be crazy talk, I'm sure. Feels like I'm taking crazy pills. Every day is 1984 and it's 451 degrees outside. Which leads to stores with products that don't sell, products like this. Which leads to stores closing or converting to selling games or something, which leads to fewer comics getting sold, which leads to lower salaries. Lower salaries means you can't pay good writers. They'll go into advertising or something else. So you're left with Gale, Mags, and the rest. So why don't they simply stop writing propaganda and start selling books and making some money? A couple of reasons. One, they are socialists. They don't want to sell a good product in exchange for money. The concept of merit disgusts them. You should buy what they are selling because they know what is best for you. The fact that they don't sell really frustrates them. The concept of having to self-promote, for some reason, really annoys them. It's as if it's beneath them. Meanwhile, the Comicsgate guys are out hustling as often as they can. Whenever they have an opportunity to mention their projects, they do so. Comicsgate has no problem with seeking that filthy lucre. The second reason is that these writers are trapped by social media. These writers and editors feel threatened by the few dozen Twitter sociopaths who will threaten to boycott them if they abandon their SJW propaganda. The comics pros know that. The one thing other SJWs do is quickly turn on each other. They love cancel culture. If you don't believe me, watch my previous video where I showed Gail Simone, government named Chelsea Van Valkenburg, who drove a man to commit suicide. I tell you to check her Twitter, but she nuked it. What do you think would happen if Mark Waid started having Arabs, Africans, Latinos as the bad guys, i.e., have comics actually reflect reality? What if they had superheroes fighting Islamic terrorism? Again, that's just crazy talk. People would lose their minds, and Mark Waid would be fired and blacklisted just for telling the truth. It's almost as if we live in clown world. But the truth is that the comic pros do not want to change. They are legitimately racist and sexist, and they believe the propaganda they are writing. Or at least they pretend to, because they're scared of being turned on by their fellow SJWs like sharks in a feeding frenzy. Let's take a look at this book. I'm sure it will subvert expectations and pleasantly surprise me with a compelling story and multifaceted characters. Let's see, the first page. Okay, breastless, short, blue-haired SJW character. Where is the body diversity, Mags? The characters should all be 200 pounds. The second character is short, red-haired, and of course breastless. Rock those A-cups, girls. Why would anyone read this? We want to look at pretty people doing kick-ass things. That shouldn't be such a wacky idea. Don't let these SJW whack jobs shame you into not demanding beautiful characters in a beautiful book. Oh, what's that? Sorry, Mark guys. They bring up a school shooting. Do you have any idea how rare those are? This is just more SJW axe grinding. The Second Amendment is so evil. Oh, and to top it off, they insult Christianity. I have no idea how many units this garbage sold for issue 1, but issue 2 will be half, and issue 5 will be about 900 shipped. Then it will get canceled. I would love to talk to the few thousand people who buy this unironically. Were they drunk? Did they buy it by mistake? I wonder how many people who bought this are repeat purchasers. It would be hysterical to find out that most of Mag's customers are first-time buyers. They realize they wasted $4, but at least they can post a picture of it on social media to show how woke they are. Look at me, I bought a magazine by an LGBT writer. Well, being an LGBT writer doesn't give you a pass to produce substandard art. Except that in modern mainstream comics, yes, it absolutely does give you a pass to produce substandard art. Don't believe me? Take a look at the screen. If you enjoy LGBT themes and characters, cool. But you can demand good writing and art. If you demand merit-based artists in LGBT fiction, and can't we get rid of that acronym and just go back to calling it gay and use gay as an inclusive umbrella term? I promise you that they will present themselves. There are good gay artists out there, or at least good artists who like to write about gay characters. Mag's comics have average monthly sales of a little over 1,000, and yet we all know who Mags is. Why is that? Why would someone who has a history of books that get canceled after 5 issues be so well known? Not to single out Mags, because getting put on new projects after being canceled is par for the course. Look at Cena Grace, Gail Simone, and many of the others. So why do they get rehired for new projects? Because they are SJW writers, and the people who do the hiring are also SJWs. They don't care about sales or merit. Oh, look, they're drinking tea again. The other weird thing I keep seeing in Mags' books is the bad art. Look at the Eternity Girl or any of the 3 reboots of Kim and Kim, Morning in America, or this book. The art sucks, not to put too fine a point on it. But at least half the book is what looks like 2 lesbians drinking coffee and eating biscuits. They just sit around, eating and drinking. You would think Gail Simone wrote this. I don't know who this book is for. I'm not sure if the characters are supposed to be trans or what, because usually Mags includes trans characters. But what the characters are is ugly, flat-chested, completely unappealing. This is a bizarre trope among SJW artists that everyone has to be ugly. I think it's some sort of body positivity thing, or maybe they're trying to avoid the male gaze, but how do you know your readers are identifying as male in the first place? And honestly, I don't think there are many straight men who are reading this comic. Period? There may be some guys who are reading this comic in the closet. Just come out of the closet. If you're into trans, you're gay, you like dudes, just, Move to a big city and have at it. It's current year. My God, it's current year. You don't need to be in the closet. Move to San Francisco or LA or whatever. I don't know what I would do if comics started having beautiful characters in them. I would wonder if Mike Miller was holding a gun to their heads. If you want to know how to draw women, study Mike Miller. His women are absolutely stunning. This woman is not absolutely stunning, but she has a nose ring and a lip ring, and that's good for some reason. And oh yeah, we see the that's an S&M thing, the choker. That's probably a biological female, but that's one on top's probably a biological male because something. Because derp to derp to derp derp derp. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, guys. I'll see you all next episode.